We started this section about the gap between what people project is their capacity and what is their real capacity. Although I could not go into too much details, I tried to list out what it meant to have a certain language capacity at various academic grades from 1 to master's degree via class 10, 11, 12. It would have been nice if everybody who went through the academic system turned out to become as they should have been as per the syllabus was designed. However, as you see in the diagram, there are more cases of normal people than very talented people who surpass their academic grade level. Yet, in my own experience, I found that there are even more impostures than normal people with standard academic capacity versus actual capacity. The question is why? Again, this is a very short section, and there must be more work done to answer this question in its full justice. However, besides the student being lazy, there are many other reasons why over the years this gap between the actual language level of a student and the academic class that he is in increases. The biggest factor is the educational institution itself. In a class where there are many students, the students would not get the attention and the feedback required to master language skills. In language, personal touch is very important. However, in many cases, even though the class size might be small, the teachers might not be very open to tutor the students on a one-to-one basis, that also regularly. In order to be good in the languages, the teacher should always be checking the answer papers, be it the grammar or the essay or the comprehension or the dictation, in front of the student as much as possible. The teacher then must provide guidance on how to improve the mistakes that he has made and why he has made such mistakes. But of course, this seldom occurs in the real world. In my student days, I was lucky to have gotten such teachers who took out the pain to do what I just told you earlier. So I credit my language capacity to them. So, deprived of this personal attention, care, and feedback, the student progresses through the academic classes by compounding whatever errors he is committing over the years. A point reaches where he cannot even imagine that what he is doing in terms of language is incorrect. This point of no return occurs because as he crosses grade 6, there would be so many mistakes in his paper that the teachers would just give up and ignore them. Instead, they will just look for the keywords that is required to justify the marks that they give for the exam papers that they check. Now we have a very dangerous situation whereby there are so many grammatical errors, spelling mistakes, wrong choice of words, and bad organization of ideas. But the teachers just act as if they don't exist and that they are not mistakes. Thus, it's now like a string that is totally tangled up, so much so that nobody will try to untangle them. This is the situation that teachers find themselves when they are confronted with students who just didn't get the personal attention required in the primary and secondary school. In my own experience, I have found that teachers are almost scared by such students. This is because they don't know how to untangle the mess that they are seeing. Where should they start? These students cannot write anything properly. There are no punctuation marks. The spelling is beyond recognizable. Tenses are unrecognizable. There is no start, there is no middle, there is no end. And this phenomenon is occurring in more and more students when they are reaching now in grade 11, 12. Where to start? As a teacher, it's a hopeless cause. So they just make sure that the exam papers have got the keywords. Then they get on over the students by passing them. So the poor language capacity goes on compounding even when the student reaches a bachelor's degree and master's degree. Nowadays, they can hide their incompetency to some extent using various spelling check software and artificial intelligence. That can change the output, yes, but the input can be helped even by artificial intelligence. They don't have the proper language capacity to read and to listen properly so that they can understand properly. The saddest part is that the student are never told that their English sucks. If they were told that by their teachers, then they would have to teach the students. Instead, the teachers simply just keep quiet. Then those students reach the corporate world. However, they don't have the language capacity to write proper emails, proposals, reports, research papers, strategic plans, documentations, and so on. Because they can't read and listen perfectly, they also do not progress in their careers, as now their learning curve is handicapped by their inaptitude to absorb more knowledge. In order to beat this problem, they become ever more bigger impostures. They try to use bigger words, some jargons. They dress immaculately. They try to hide behind their designations. The smart ones have assistants who are very good in language skills. Those who can't afford to have assistants lag behind. So the seeds of the real impostures is planted early on in the primary school and the secondary school. Many of the students do not even try to become imposters and simply drop out of the educational system to enter vocational education or technical education. There's nothing wrong with that, but if it was their choice, it's okay. However, if they wanted to pursue academics but couldn't because they just didn't understand what they were studying in management, sciences, law, humanities, philosophy, literature, then that's a sad story. Now, I put the blame on the educational institutions, but the parents also are to blame. Myself, as a parent, when my son was growing up, I was not familiar with the ideas that I have just shared to you. So even if he had not received personal attention, I would not know. Now, this is true for me who is writing this book. Most of the parents would be totally unaware of what is proper education. They will totally trust the educational institutions, the teachers, the principals, the syllabus makers. However, all of these things are meaningless unless the child is given continuous personal feedback in the language department, because that is the most important one. I know this now. My son is already in grade 11 as I'm writing this book. I'm glad that he received personal attention and feedback in his primary and his secondary school. Consequently, he has got good enough language skills so that he can understand higher level physics, chemistry, computer science, and mathematics. I guess I was lucky, like I was lucky in my own case to have gotten great teachers who gave me personal feedback throughout. But what I'm suggesting is that parents should make sure that their students get the best possible teachers in the language department. You don't need to be a Shakespeare to be a best teacher in English. All you need is to love the students, have good enough English, and be willing to coach them until they have a perfect mastery of their languages. What I'm suggesting to parents is do not look at the huge infrastructure or the lack of it. Do not even look at the number of pass rates or the number of students who got 4 or A plus. This would not make a difference. What matters, as I told you, is that the students get personal attention, coaching, feedback until they can listen, talk, read, and write as is expected in their academic grade level. I am not asking too much, am I?